hazel tree. In past centuries, nuts must have provided a rich and sustainable source of protein and vitamins for the people of Ireland. They would have eaten mainly the nuts of the hazel tree, and this native produce is sometimes referred to in medieval Irish as Cnú Gaedhealach, an Irish nut, a name which distinguished it from the walnut, which was known as Cnú Francach, a French or foreign nut. A note in an early glossary describing nuts as sweeter than all other produce indicates that these were valued for their flavour as much as for the sustenance they offered. Scattered medieval references to hazel mead, possibly mead infused with hazel kernels, suggest too that the Irish tended to like the taste. And the 12th century tale known as the Wooing of Luina and the Death of Atharne alludes at one point to Cní Conara, road nuts, implying perhaps that nuts were carried on journeys or gathered from trees along the way to serve as tasty and nourishing snacks. Although the hazelnut can be identified in medieval Irish as an Irish nut, its more usual name has always been Cnú Coll. Coll is simply the word for a hazel tree, and both trees and nuts appear frequently in early literature, often associated with wisdom and poetry. A collection of stories relating how various places in Ireland got their names tells that a group of fabulous hazel trees once grew around a sacred well, and flowers and leaves and nuts all appeared simultaneously on these trees. The nuts fell into the well, where they were either eaten by salmon or caused bubbles to form on the surface of the water, which then flowed along 7 rivers which exited from and returned to the well. In search of the enlightenment encapsulated in these bubbles, a woman called Shannon drowned in one of these rivers, which afterwards bore her name, Shunnan, being the modern Irish term for the River Shannon. Understandably, the composers and compilers of early Irish legal texts were less interested in the supposed wisdom-enhancing powers of the hazel tree and more interested in its real-world benefits. The hazel is specified in these texts as a noble tree, along with the oak, holly, ash, yew, pine and apple tree. Its importance in this context lies not only in its supply of nuts, but also in what the texts refer to as its coil. Coil is a word meaning thin. It is used to denote slender parts of the body such as the wrists, ankles and neck, and it is applied also to the flexible outermost branches of trees. These would have provided material for wattling for the production of those durable structures comprised of upright posts interwoven with twigs which were utilised as fences, shelters and fish weirs. We know from archaeological studies that hazel rods were used for such purposes. Indeed, roundhouses discovered at Deer Park Farms in County Antrim were found to have double walls of post and wattle in which the horizontal rods were entirely of hazel. The space between the walls was packed with insulating material such as grass, moss and bracken, creating a kind of early medieval cavity wall.